So we're going to be using Teacher Dashboard today to be able to copy a file to some students. So I'm going to start with my Year 10 class and click in here, and you'll see that it's showing all the media work that we've done this year. And so I've decided that I actually want to send a file to the students so they can collect it. Obviously, quite often if they're just creating something from scratch, you can just simply say to the student, open up your Google Drive, go to the media folder, in my case, whatever the name of the subject folder is that we've created for you, and create a file inside there, and then you'll get to see that straight away. So a lot of these files that students have done, they have just placed in the directory because that's where they put their work for media, and it's something that I'm pretty certain we're going to do more and more of in the future. I generally use an existing document. I like to have it prepared beforehand. Creating a blank document has sometimes failed for me, and so I've generally chosen to avoid that. So here we go, we've got a whole bunch of files. And as you can see from my folder, it's going to all the most recent files that I've actually had in there. So this is one that we were playing with the other day with my classes when we were doing some teaching. So I'm just going to grab that Petrov Affair one, which has got nothing to do with that at all, but it will do for now. Notice how it's now said this is the file we're going to use. I'm going to go to Next, and this is where I guess it can be a little bit tricky the first time you do it. Copy is a separate copy of the document for each student. It's really important that you don't have the file open when you do that. You've got to make sure you close it. So make sure it's closed, and then once you've done that, then you will actually be able to make sure that it will copy to them. Each student gets their own version. They don't have to share with anybody else. They get their own particular one. Share and read only. I do use this one occasionally when I want to give students a document which they're not going to change. Probably one of the key ones of those is when I'm distributing an assessment task, but sometimes I've even shared PDF documents with syllabuses in there, and the reason I go for share read only is it doesn't appear in the dashboard, it just appears in the students folder, meaning that I don't need to worry that it's there and it doesn't clutter up the space from my perspective, but the students still receive it. It's a great one. Share and read comment is a really good one when you've got a document that you don't want the students to change, but you want them to leave little comments on the side. And so that's a really helpful one. Students can view and copy the document but cannot edit it. Students can add comments to the document, and it's shared within the groups of students. Finally, and this is one I use a lot in my classes, is share, read, write. And this is about one document being shared with the whole group of students that you select. Students can edit the document and all changes are visible to other students. So I'm using this one when I want one collaborative workspace. I use this one when I want to actually give each student their own individual files. So I'm just going to go to that for now, go with copy. And I'm not going to actually copy this document in the end, but I am going to at least show them. Now when it puts it into the students folder, it's going to call the file at the moment the Petrov Affair. Now I could call it anything. I could call it sample file from Mr. Collins. And then one of the nice things that we can do with this is we can label the student's name, and it explains it down here, but I would like to put in their first name by putting %F. I'm going to put a space, I'm going to put then %L. And just as it explains here, the students would be sent a file which would say sample file from Mr. Collins - Mary Smith, and it would be different for each student in the class. Let's go to next. This is where I can select all the students in my class, or I can just select, no, I want these three to get this particular document. I actually could go deselect all and just select 3. And it is possible to come in here and do groups if we've set groups, we're using the colours next to the students' names. I'm just going to grab those 2 there for now so it does it nice and quickly and press next. Now this is an important page. Leave existing document in place if there's already one called the same thing. And obviously that's a pretty important one. If the students have already started doing work, this is the right option. But if you have a case where that you've sent the students a document and you realise it's not exactly 100% the way it should be, you know the students haven't started work, deleting the student's document and then copying the new one in can be a really handy one. So I'm just going to put leave existing document in place, which 99% of the time is what I do. Then it gives me here a list of all the things that are going to happen, which students are going to receive it, what type of sharing we're doing, gives me a thumbnail of the document. And when I'm sure that everything's right, then I press Start Copy. Now what will pop up is this little status box. It says here it can take up to 10 minutes for all the students to receive it, and it's initiating the task. It really depends on how busy Hapara's teacher dashboard is at the time, whether or not it's going to take the full 10 minutes. But it is my high recommendation that you always leave at least 10 minutes. It's going to list the names of the students here who are going to get it, and eventually we'll get a little tick here saying that it's complete. When that's happened, you can close this window at any point in time, but I always leave it open just to know it's actually worked. Then I feel like I'm confident it's going to work. You can see now it's processing King and Coftree, and when it actually happens successfully, we'll get a little green tick, and hopefully that's worked well. I'm not going to sit here waiting forever for it. Hopefully that really does help you how to use the Smart Copy feature in Teacher Dashboard.